It's going.
And it's going.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and pray.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day, grateful for many blessings we've been given, grateful for the opportunity we had to be able to discuss the Yieldex case. Pray as we do so, we'll be able to better understand decisions need to be made in business and objectives that business owners and entrepreneurs have. And we love thee and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. As far as a spiritual thought, I don't really have anything. If anyone wishes to share, do you wish to share anything?
Great.
Good. All right. So just to start off, let's see. Vote as a group. Should Doug accept the turn offer? Yes or no?
I just think, I don't know, the thing that's kind of hard about it is you got to know what the biggest thing that I felt was kind of left up to our decision or discretion was what Doug's overall goal and objective is. Is it, is he happy he's done what he's done with his business and now he wants to get out? And lucky for him, somebody wants to buy his company, so he gets some money and some stocks. And it even said in the case that it was all the money he felt like he would ever need. So if he's got all the money he ever needs, then from a financial standpoint, then it doesn't really matter. What matters to me more, I guess, is does Doug still want to be in the business and operate as the chief technology officer, and then also the jobs and stuff that his company provided, that it'll affect more people than him if he chooses to take this turnkey deal. So to me, it's not, for Doug, it's not really a financial decision. It's more of a lifestyle almost.
Yeah. No, and I totally get that. And I know even in the case, he talks about how he was excited to go home and talk to his wife and how he figured she would probably kind of, push in that direction of taking the money and just having the money right away. Because, like, in a moment like that where you can get offered such a large amount of money, obviously it's going to be hard to say no to that, especially when it's $2 million in cash and $2 million in stocks in the turn company. But I mean, his wife was even kind of supportive of whatever he wanted to do. So I think in the long run, it would probably be good to stick with it, kind of what you said, so that, I mean, the money may not be there right there the second or overnight, but in the long run, he would probably benefit of staying in it.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if Doug doesn't realize getting the company for $2 million and the preferred stock of $2 million. I mean, no doubt he gets the $2 million in preferred stock, and he's got that, and don't have to worry about taxes and things like that down the road. But if that $2 million that he gets up front, quite a bit of it he's not going to get, because he's going to pay taxes, and he also has to pay back
the investors.
Yeah. So part of me wonders if Doug's a little naive in saying that that's all the money he'll ever need. It doesn't talk at all about other investments and stuff Doug has, but I'm assuming he's at the most in his 50s, and he's going to need more than $2 million.
Yeah.
To be able to live. So, and I know he's excited. I mean, I'd be, don't get me wrong, $2 million after tax and everything, still a lot of money, but he definitely has this opportunity to have this really great company. I mean, throughout his entire journey, he hasn't had anybody that we read about that was really a naysayer. Everybody was on board. I mean, It was everybody you went to talk to were like, oh yeah, I want to help you. I'll even be an investor. And then he goes to try and get the Series A funding from this venture capitalist that understands the business, and he wants to be the CEO of the business. That's how, they feel like his idea is so promising. He's the brains behind the operation. He understands the value of his product, basically, but all these business minds really understand the potential that it has and the money they generate. So I think it just kind of comes down to really what Doug wants to do.
Yeah.
Financially, he'll make more money if he is a split partner with that other guy than if he just accepts the deal.
Yeah. And so moving on, it sounds like they're offering, we both kind of have the same opinion. And like you said, number 6 here, it even questions how much money will Doug receive. Taking that offer. So, since half of the buyout offers in cash, you need to treat it as a cash sale and give the investors 2 times their investment in cash. So essentially anything that the investors gave in cash would be doubled. And who knows, my math may even be off. I just did it really quickly. That if it were all of the investment, I can't tell if this is actually, but it'd be a little over $1 million. So he wouldn't actually be taking home the $2 million, where he's like, yeah, I could take home $2 million in cash and I'd be set for forever, right? Even if he did take home the $800,000 or something like that, that's still a pretty good start, but pay taxes on that and everything, but he wouldn't be set for life. He makes it sound like he'd be good. And then as far as half of the buyout being in preferred stock, you need to treat that portion of the buyout as stock and give investors 25% of the proceeds from the preferred shares. So, he's not even left with that many shares as well.
So really, it's more like 1.5 million in his own stock. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how much others would be affected by him taking the deal. They get something from his deal. I was thinking initially when I read it, he'd get everything. He'd have to pay back his investors, but I didn't think about them getting a portion of stock as well. Let's see. Discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Why does Washington want Doug to reject the turnover? Won't Washington get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more? How much does Washington give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the equity? So Shields he's a venture capitalist that understands the business and wants to be a CEO, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Part of me thinks that 50% is kind of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, just kind of from what we understand about Doug is he's not a CEO. He's technology, and he understands that. And so if he chooses not to bring on Shields and, maybe bring on a CEO that is willing to accept less than 50%, maybe they wouldn't do as good. So I think, I don't know, definitely something he's got to decide. I think, though, from what I understand from the case, it still ends up being a good deal for Doug. He doesn't even have to worry about the business as much. He can just kind of focus on the technology, which is what he really enjoys.
Yeah. Well, and that would even be the nice thing is here he said that he found Shields and he was the perfect fit for a CEO for the company. But if he were to kind of negate that and be like, I'll just find another CEO that'll be a perfect fit for this and run it just as well as you, from a time standpoint, I mean, how long would it actually take him to find that? I mean, the fact that everything, like the cards have all fallen in his lap, and it's kind of like, all right, like things just seem perfect. Yeah, Shields may be like asking for half of it and being co-founder of the company. But at the same time, like you said, like Doug would be able to just focus on what he likes. I mean, he created this like huge technology, and it would be something that would sell and be great. And then that way, Shields could just be in charge of the business side of things. But I mean, it's a tough decision because, like, even time and time again, I thought about it and was like, well, like you've come up with this great thing, but if you hold out and see it through the end, then what could be the returns on it for yourself? And compared to obviously selling it right now and kind of just being like, I'll just take what I can get right now, and then possibly having regret or anything like that.
The one thing I think too is an argument for not taking the deal would be if the company's valuable right now, it's not gonna lose value in a couple of years from now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's only gonna go up in value. The company that, you know, he's got a seller right now willing to, or a buyer right now willing to pay $2 million plus $2 million in stock in their company. I mean, for them, the way Turnkey views this is they're getting a great value. They're getting a steal. They're not going into this feeling like they're going to break even. They feel like this technology that Doug has created is going to be valuable, and we're going to make a lot of money off of it. And so it's not going to go down in value. And I guess in a way, I'm kind of like, you know, if I'm Doug, why not ride this thing out for a few more years, see what happens, see how much the company goes up in value, and then, you know, I'm sure another company would be willing to buy them. At that point, it becomes a little more complicated since he would, you know, take the deal with Shields and be the 50% owner, but even still, he'd make more money, and he'd still get to kind of see his project out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and even if he saw it out a little bit longer, the success of the company could go up, and if you wanted someone to buy it out then in a couple of years,
yeah,
someone could buy it for 3 or 4 times more, maybe more than that.
Yeah, they could pay $100 million for it.
Yeah, like it could really skyrocket, and people would see it as a major possible advantage for them to buy it.
I think at the end of the day, Doug's still young. It's not like he's, I mean, to me, he's the type of guy that is going to, if he quits doing this, takes the deal, in a year from now, he's going to get bored being retired. He's going to try and do something else. And so, to me, I think he'll be, you know, frustrated in a way if he takes this deal, which I think is pretty low, based on what the value of the company really is. A few years from now, it might, you know, have made millions of dollars and be worth tons of money, and he's just going to look back and think, man, I sold out for a measly $2 million.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see. Click here to read the B case.
Yeah.
I have that pulled up. Let's see. Here we go ahead. It looks like it's just a few paragraphs. If we just went every other.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. It was December 2007, and Yieldex CEO Tom Shields was driving to the company's Boulder, Colorado office to meet with his co-founder Doug Kosman. Since becoming the CEO of Yieldex in October 2007, Shields commuted from the Bay Area to meet with Kosman and the engineering team on a weekly basis. Kosman almost sold Yieldex for $4 million in September 2007, but after an agonizing internal debate, he decided to forego the quick exit and hire Shields to help him pursue additional financing and grow the fledgling company. Shields and Kosman had been negotiating an equity split when the unexpected offer came in, and they were close to an agreement in which Shields hoped to receive 50% of the pre-Series A common shares. Shields had pressed Kosman to turn down the offer, but that came with a price to Shields. He ultimately agreed to take 40% of the common, while Kosman held on to the remaining 60%. Kosman then sold 20% of his common back to the company to take out some cash. Both Shields and Kosman were diluted in the Series A round that closed several days after Shields joined the company. Sequel Venture Partners led the round with a $2.0 million investment, and they were joined by first round capital at $500,000 and angel investors that converted their seed notes into Series A shares and invested additional money. The pre-money valuation at the Series A was $4.9 million.
When Shields joined as CEO, Kosman became the company's chief technology officer. Reporting to Shields, Kosman explained, "I was not interested in leading a team of engineers on a day-to-day basis, but I wanted to be the technical leader of the company." Kosman had converted the 3 contractors to full-time employment and hired 2 more in the last few months. Both he and Shields thought they needed to be led by an experienced VP of engineering. Shields met with several candidates for the VPE position during November, and he quickly realized that he and Kosman had different perspectives on the qualifications of the ideal candidate. Kosman preferred someone with deep technical expertise in internet advertising software who would immediately understand how this technology related to the systems already in use in this industry. In fact, he hoped to promote one of the Yieldex employees who had been working for Kosman on the Yieldex solution over the last year and had previously been team lead. Shields, however, preferred deep management experience of software development projects in small companies. He was comfortable hiring someone who had not worked in internet advertising as long as the individual had a track record of managing high productivity startup teams to achieve progressive development milestones.
Shields knew that the issue would come to a head this week. He had recently met a Boulder-based candidate, John Barr, who came highly recommended from sequel partner Tom Washing. Barr had a strong track record with multiple successful startups. He had been the CTO at his last 2 companies, but he was willing to join Yieldex as the VPE, also reporting to Shields. Shields believed Barr was a good fit, and he was ready to hire him, but Kosman was troubled by Barr's unfamiliarity with several of the key components of the Yieldex solution. He wondered how Barr could manage a software platform that he didn't fully understand. Kosman was also concerned that Barr seemed to be questioning the skills and output to some of the employees that he had hired.
When Shields pulled up to the Yieldex offices, he thought about the implications of hiring Barr against Kosman's wishes. He was comforted by Washing's support of Barr as he knew that Kosman respected Washing's perspective. Nevertheless, he wondered how Kosman and Barr would interact as the 2 leaders of the Boulder office, and also how it would work when the 5 engineers that Kosman had hired began to report to Barr. Shields knew that this group would have to work closely together in Boulder while he jump-started the sales and marketing efforts of the company out of the Bay Area. Kosman had architected the Yieldex software, and Barr would need his support to manage the team effectively. Shields respected Kosman's desire to keep looking at other candidates, but he needed to fill this position so he could refocus his own efforts, and he was impressed with Barr's credentials.
Okay.
So then what does it say? As a group vote, should Tom hire Barr, yes or no? Well, those who said yes go first, then ask for opposing viewpoints.
I think you should.
I don't know. I think it's hard because, I mean, to me, Doug put himself in this situation. He hired him and gave him control of the company, and that's what he wanted. So I guess I would vote yes because, I mean, that's a decision for the CEO to make. And Doug wanted Doug wanted Shields to be the CEO. So in saying that Doug wants Shields to be the CEO, I think he should respect his decision to want to hire Barr. But I think at the same time it's hard because Cosman's he's the technology guy, the engineering guy, so he kind of understands that more. But I think you should hire him.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he had success with multiple startups and had been the CTO at those companies, so he has understanding with technology and things of that sort. But he's willing to be the VPE. So I mean, another position up there that would kind of be almost side by side with Doug to improve and innovate on technology, whatever it may consist of. But I think that could be helpful to him to kind of have another mind like that, because Shields may be business minded and be a perfect fit for the CEO position. But to have another mind that's like software minded to come together with you and kind of bounce ideas off of, depending on what kind of things you want to come up with for further technology, I think that's good for them. I mean, hiring him would be a major asset for them as a company entirely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we even kind of covered this next question as far as company culture,
Yeah,
and leadership and investor relationships.
could cause some problems if he ended up working out, or if Cosman didn't like him, or yeah. I guess let's read this C case here. It says, let's see. 6 months later, email from John Barr, VP Engineering, to Tom Shields, CEO. Tom, Doug continues to be disruptive. His salary is $170,000. He holds the title of CTO, which I should have. His team wasn't functional and has been replaced. At the boarding meeting today, do the right things for the company.
Ooh. Oh, there we go. Shouldn't have hired him.
Yeah.
Let's see. What does do the right things for the company mean? Should Tom fire Doug?
I think what he's meaning by do the right things for the company, when Barr tells that to Shields, is get rid of Tom. I think so. What I'm assuming happened, obviously they hired Barr, and that ended up having a negative impact on Doug. And so now there's this contention between Doug and
Tom.
And Tom, yeah. But
John.
this Barr guy.
John. I thought it was Tom Barr. John.
And so there's contention, and ultimately Doug's, he's probably not, it's just probably not a good thing. It's negatively affected their culture and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that's why they want us to review this case. It's a difficult thing. It's like, this was Doug's idea, Doug's company. He brought on Shields, made him his partner. In a way, I don't know. I mean, obviously you can fire him. That's why it's asking us that question, but I just don't, in a way, know how he could.
Yeah.
He's 50% owner.
60. That was the decision. Because he had 60 and then Tom was 40. But, I mean, even looking at these other questions, I mean, now that they've started and they know what his algorithm is for creating the software and everything, like it says, what value does Doug bring to the company now? Like he's exposed that out to everyone instead of just like keeping it to himself, where it was a secret, where it was like, oh yeah, this is my algorithm for doing it and no one else knows. Like Tom could just be the CEO and run the business side of it, but I've got everything else. Like, so he holds that like value to the company, that Tom would be the business side of it, but then he held the value of like, I know how to do and run the technology, so no one else can do it. But since they hired John Barr on, he was able to pick that up quickly and figure out how to do it and things of that sort. So he sees Doug now as a liability more than anything. I mean, just getting in the way. Obviously, it doesn't expound on how he's really getting in the way, but it just seems more like, hey, you're paying him $170K a year, and he's not really doing anything. But it's also like, okay, like if you did fire him, like as a position, he would still hold stake in the company. So I mean, that's tough because I mean, I'm sure he wants to be working, but I mean, since he was the co-founder, he would have the option to stay in it with his percentage of the company that he owns. So I mean, that could either go one of two ways. I mean, depending on the type of person that Doug is, right? Like, he could just be like, okay, I'll humble myself. Like, you know what you're doing here, and I can go on and do something else. You know, like spend his time doing something else that still earn his keep from Yieldex, or he could just blow up and say, I started this. This is my thing. But yeah, I think that's a tough scenario to be in.
This last question says, do you want to change your mind about the buyout now? I think about, I don't know the history of all these different businesses, but I know that a lot of these technology startups like Doug had, their goal is to get acquired.
Yeah.
They want to have what could have happened to Doug when this turnkey was wanting to buy him out. And so I think that maybe I understand that a little bit now, because maybe what that means is, look, I've got the brains to be able to create this cool technology or whatever that could be really beneficial, but I'm not the business mind behind it. I don't know how to have this make billions of dollars, but that's okay, because I'm all right accepting a few $1 million for my idea, because I don't have the know-how to be able to turn this into $1 billion company. So that's what I kind of think about this situation. But I'm sure there are other cases we could read about where somebody does have a good idea, they do partner up and end up making millions, and it ends up working out fine for everybody. But I think when you look at the situation now, I mean, yeah, of course, I think in a way it's stupid that it would ask us if we want to change our minds now. It's like, well,
now that we see the outcome.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, obviously. But, how do we not know all this stuff? It made more sense, but.
Yeah. Well, and I figure we can pretty much say this is our summary, what we've been talking about. But I think being able to know the person too, like in these cases, it's like, what type of person is the founder of the company? Like, are they the type that's, no, I want this all for myself. Like, I can run it by myself. Obviously, like, companies are run better with a large executive team and things of that sort. But I mean, when it comes to technology, I feel like if I were to come up with a software, it would have some serious sentimental value to me, Like, I'd be like, I don't want to share this with someone else, especially if they tried to bring on like John Bart. Be like, I've got this down, like I created this. We don't need another technologically minded person on the team. Like, we need more business sided people to cut costs, to help sell the product better and things of that sort. So I think, at the end where it's like you change your minds about the buyout, like Doug could avoid all of this drama and the potential of just kind of being ridiculed by these other executive team members, or it's just like you're more of a liability than an asset to the company at this point, even though that's like within the first year or so of actually running the company with this team. So yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with it. It's like, obviously we've seen it from the beginning to the end of how John was hired, and at this point Yieldex is at a crossroads where they feel like they don't need Doug anymore.
Yeah. Yep. Agree. A lot of stuff you kind of have to look at and think about if you're Doug or in a situation like Doug. I think, I don't know, it's just kind of a concluding thought I have. If you really think your idea is good, you've got to believe in it enough. I think about like Mark Zuckerberg. He wasn't necessarily the business mind behind this idea. He was the creative mind, but he didn't just sell out or something like that. He believed in his product and his company enough that he's still, the majority shareholder in his company. And so, I don't know, maybe Doug didn't believe in his product enough to be able to just be firm and saying and trying to get a better deal, maybe where he, even though he brings in a CEO, he still has a larger majority of the company. All right, we're good.
Yeah.